Well, good afternoon, everybody. Some of you may recognize this tree type behind me, some of you may not. This is known as the Northern Catalpa Tree. And while it's not really native to this precise location, it's native to North America, even though it is planted widely throughout this region and it survives well, does well. It's a hardy tree, and it seems to take the colder temperatures at these degrees north. But it has a bit of an interesting story that I thought you might be interested in. We've got 3 of these trees on our property, and they all came from one location. That location was beside the Lechee Garden restaurant that no longer exists in Kingston. It was a restaurant that went under basically after the pandemic, like so many restaurants did. And for many years, when we first moved here, we would visit that restaurant frequently. As the name suggests, it was a Chinese food restaurant, had really good Chinese food for really good prices, and we would frequently find ourselves there for the luncheon special. One evening when we were eating there, I noticed outside there was a catalpa tree with the catalpa beans hanging on it. And I said to the people at the table, I'm going to go get some beans and see if I can grow those at home. So I did that. I went out and collected some seed pods, or catalpa beans as they sometimes are called. Brought them home, got the seeds planted, and they started to germinate. And I put a few of them out here, and lo and behold, we now have 3 catalpa trees. One of them off to the side here, which you can't see, has one part of it dying for some reason. I'm not sure why. But this one and the other one up on top of the hill that you can't see is doing really well. Beautiful trees. In the summer, they have beautiful orchid-like flowers that come out in bloom, and they just smell glorious. And they bloom for a few weeks, and then those orchid-like flowers fall off all over the ground. And there are places around here that have big catalpa trees that the whole ground gets covered like snow in the blossoms of the catalpa trees when they drop them. So any of you that live in the United States would certainly be familiar with this tree. It has one of the largest leaves of any native tree, big heart-shaped leaves. And as again I mentioned, the beautiful orchid-like flowers, multicolored, white with purple and yellow in them. Anyhow, to make a long story a little shorter, so I got those trees planted here. They've done well. These ones are probably 15 plus years old. Maybe, they couldn't be 20, I don't think, but they must be at least 15 to be this size. This one here is almost a foot across now. But anyhow, today when I was in town for a dentist appointment, we went by that place. Now, as I mentioned, the Lechee Garden Chinese restaurant has been transformed into an eye care business. Actually, my eye doctor has moved in there. And the lot beside the restaurant that had 1 or 2 of these catalpa trees growing, I remember the last time I went by there a few months ago, I'm pretty sure there was still a tree there. But anyhow, today bulldozers were in there. The whole lot is leveled. No trees obviously left. It's just plain dirt, and the bulldozers and skid steers were moving around in there, flattening it all out. So I don't know what the plan is for it, but it was sad to see. It saddened my heart to see the old mother catalpa trees gone. The mother of my trees. I'd always sort of looked at that tree when I went by and said, yeah, there's the mother of my catalpas. And now she's gone. I guess you could say I was lucky to have gotten some of the seeds from those trees, planted them here, and now their offspring are here surviving. So even though she's been bulldozed to the ground, her offspring continues to survive here on the farm. So it's kind of a neat little story. Sad story in a way, but also that happy part where her offspring survive. So I think it's a neat idea. If you have a bit of property where you can plant trees or plant seeds, experiment a bit. It's always fun to find a tree somewhere that maybe you're really in admiration of, whether it's just a really good specimen of a native tree and you think it would be good to carry on that individual line, or whether it's maybe just a unique ornamental tree and you'd like to try and get a specimen of it. Sometimes you can do that by getting seeds from the trees and growing them. And it's a fun experiment. And as happened in my case, you may be actually securing the future of that line of trees, because we never know, especially in cities or in the country either, but you never know what's going to be the future of a particular tree. So sometimes the more individuals of that tree type you can get growing, the better. So anyhow, just some food for thought. If you're interested in that kind of thing, it's fun to go out, and especially if you do know areas that are under the gun to be developed. Now, a lot of people I know will actually go out, and if they get permission, they'll dig up specimens of small trees and move them before the place gets bulldozed, or even larger trees if you can manage it somehow. But at the very least, if you can get access to the site, have permission to get access to the site in advance of it being destroyed, you may be able to secure some seeds for future germination elsewhere. And I think that's a very valuable thing to do. It's just trying to secure a bit of that genetic diversity that would otherwise be probably totally lost. So anyhow, just thought you might enjoy that little story.